Welcome to 4.6 Special Products. This is kind of an extension of the multiplication of polynomials that we covered in 4.5, but there's a couple formulas, and really it's not that big of a deal that you know these special product formulas now, these right here, but when it comes to factoring, like the first module in Math 98, these are going to be kind of important. So one thing I want to define is this: if we have a plus b and a minus b, those are called multiplicative conjugates. When we multiply these conjugates together, we always get the difference of two squares. That's that. And then if we square something, it means that thing times itself. So just remember, if we have a binomial squared or any polynomial squared, we write two copies of that and we're multiplying it out. Now, how you multiply it, you could use a box, you could use FOIL, you could use anything like that. We could do that. So we're just going to go ahead and multiply these out. So kind of alternate between foiling and box. So this first one here, these are conjugates. We're going to get the difference of squares, and we'll see that here in a second. So foiling this, if we have first times first, 3t times 3t is a 9t squared. The outside, 3t times negative 1 is negative 3t. The inside is 1 times 3t, so plus 3t. Then the last is 1 times negative 1, which is negative 1. Now notice, we combine like terms here. These negative 3t and 3t cancel. So we get 9t squared minus 1. Okay, so that's that one right there. Now, moving on to this next one. Once again, we have these conjugates. So it's really going to be this first thing squared minus the second thing squared. And you can see here, if we squared this 3t, we get our 9t squared. If we square the 1, we get our 1. So the difference of squares comes out of these conjugates. We'll multiply it. We'll go ahead and use a box for this one. It's a little 2 by 2 box. So we have a 2y to the 8th and a 3. We have a 2y to the 8th and a 3. So 2y to the 8th times 2y to the 8th is 4y to the 16th. Because when we multiply like bases, we add the exponents. 2y to the 8th times 3 is 6y to the 8th. Same thing down here. But excuse me, this is a negative 3, so we collect the negative 3, so that's a negative 6y to the 8th. Here we have our 6y to the 8th, a positive 1. Then finally 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. Now notice, our negative 6y to the 8th and our positive 6y to the 8th cancel, so what we end up getting is a 4y to the 16th minus 9, which is exactly this first thing squared minus the second thing squared. And we get that because we do have conjugates there. So we'll go ahead and multiply these next ones out. Now, this next one is not specifically conjugates or a special product, but we are going to go ahead and multiply this out. So I'm just going to FOIL this one. So here, if we have x to the 4th times 2x, that's going to be 2x to the 5th. Outside, x to the 4th times 1 plus x to the 4th. Inside, negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. And then finally, negative 3 times 1 is negative 3. Nothing to combine as far as like terms are concerned, so that's what we have right there. So looking at this next one, we have something squared. So whenever you have something squared, it's two copies of that. So this is 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3. So we can go ahead and multiply this in a box if we want, or whatever. 2x minus 3. 2x minus 3. So 2x times 2x is a 4x squared. 2x times negative 3, negative 6x. Down here, same thing, negative 3 times 2x is negative 6x. Then finally, last is negative 3 times negative 3, which is 9. So here, these don't cancel. We're going to add those together. So writing this in descending order, we have a 4x squared minus 12x plus 9, and that's that one right there. Okay, so moving down to this next one here, once again, when we have something squared, it's two copies of that. So this 5 plus 6t to the 4th squared is just two of those things multiplied out. I'm going to write this in descending order, so I'm going to have 6t to the 4th plus 5 and a 6t to the 4th plus 5. When I FOIL this, 6t to the 4th times 6t to the 4th is 36t. Now, if we multiply like bases, we add the exponent, so this is going to be to the 8th power. Okay, the outside, 6t times our 5 is going to be plus 30t to the 4th Inside 5 times our 6 to the fourth is another 30 t to the fourth. And then finally 5 times 5 is 25. Combine our like terms. 36 t to the eighth plus 60 t to the fourth plus 25. And that's what we have. So this next one we have, we're multiplying some conjugates, so it will be the first thing squared minus the second thing squared. We'll go ahead and FOIL this out just to see it. You could use a box if you wanted. So x to the 12th times x to the 12th is x to the 24th, because we're adding exponents. 3 times x to the 12th is 3x to the 12th. Inside, negative 3x to the 12th, and then finally last is negative 9. These cancel out. So we have our x to the 24th minus 9. And that's that right there. Now, for these last two, this isn't a binomial, but it is something squared. So really it's going to be x squared plus x plus 1 times x squared plus x plus 1. Okay? And because we have a trinomial times a trinomial, I'm going to go ahead and use a box here. And we'll go with a 3 by 3 box. So we have an x squared, an x and a 1, an x squared, an x and a 1. So in this first box right here, x squared times x squared is x to the fourth. Here, x times x squared is x to the third. X squared times 1 is x squared. X times x squared is x cubed. X times x is x squared. 1 times x is x. Then 1 times these things, it's just we have our x squared, our x, our 1. Like terms are on the diagonal, so we combine those up. We have an x to the fourth, 2x cubes, 3x squareds, 2 x's, and a 1. So that's that one right there. And then the last one here, because we have a binomial times a trinomial, we'll go ahead and put a box out. We have our y and our 5. Y squared minus 5y plus 25. So here we get our y cubed, our y times our y squared. Our y times our negative 5y is negative 5y squared. 25 times y is 25y. 5 times our y squared is a positive 5y squared. 5 times our negative 5 is negative 25y. And 5 times 25 is 125. So writing this in descending order, we have a y cubed. Those cancel. Plus 125, and that's that. So that was special products. See you next time for polynomials and several variables.